Hey Bill, hey Eddie, how you guys doing?
Very
Good,
good. How
good.
are you?
I'm pumped. I'm like actually really pumped. This is a little bit of a treat for me. I'm a huge fan, but I wanted to get right into it. I would say RAD anniversary is a staple in my calendar now. Got to see it every time. But the 40 number when it came over this time really hit me, struck me in really good ways. But I just want to ask you, what do you think of that? How does that hit you?
I'm very, very, very pleased that something I did in the distant past still reverberates, still is
Yeah.
talked about. I meet a kid named Crew Jones. I mean, all the time. Different kids named Crew Jones. None of them look like me. And I'm getting ready to start another BMX movie coming this summer, shooting in LA. So the legacy continues.
Oh,
And
that's
I think
awesome.
what we did 40 years ago was very important.
Yeah.
And I've seen it played out time and time again. We go to these events, entire families will show up in their rad racing gear, driving hundreds of miles to meet the cast members. And the thing I hear over and over again is it's not just a movie. It is
Yeah.
way beyond that. For the people who
Yeah.
got that hook really deep,
Yeah.
it still resonates.
Yeah.
Uh,
The hook's still in. The hook's still in me. Go ahead, Eddie.
yeah, I didn't think I'd make it to the 40th. I didn't make it. I didn't think I'd making it to 50, let alone 61. But yeah, seeing the movie making it to the 40th anniversary is incredible. And like I said prior to on some of the other interviews, is that you know we were kids. We in the 80s, this is what we did: is we rode our bikes from point A to point B. We
Yeah.
our parents had no idea where we were. We just had to be back when the street lights came on. We drank out
That's
of the hose. We
yeah.
did things. We were gone, and we had our freedom. And I don't see that with the kids today. The um, when I explained when I meet these guys that were in the BMX, they and they're with their wives, and the guy is shaking. I try to explain to the wife, what he is feeling. It's like they tore pictures out back in the 80s
Yeah.
of BMX magazines and stuck them on the wall. And every day they looked at those pictures. Every night they went to bed, they seen these pictures. And now I'm standing in front of this guy and I'm
Mhm.
shaking his hand and I'm signing an autograph, and we're talking, and it's really cool. So now the wife understands what he's going through. He's meeting his childhood heroes. So
Yeah, that was really well said. I mean, I was an 80s kid too, and kind of, talking about, families coming all decked out. So kind of dovetails into my next question. So I started a little older in life. So I'm in my 50s and I got a 10-year-old. But I'm going to be taking him. I'm kind of doing him on like a classic movie tour. I want to see Hoosiers and I want to see Goonies and all that stuff. Well, Rad is top of the list on this one, and we're going on the 22nd. So, overall, I guess my question is, are you? And it sounds like maybe you answered this a little bit, but are you seeing that parents are passing that down to their kids now? Are you seeing that? I think Bill, maybe you touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, the good ones are. And listen, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Not everybody is attached to their phones. We're trying to switch that. We're trying to get kids out on their bikes. That's it. It's a very simple mission statement for people
Yeah.
like Ed and I, and all these movies and screenings and these ancillary things. They just kind of feed the fire, right? But we're in a real energy crisis, and I think we're going to get into the next century largely on two wheels, or a lot of us are. And I ride my bike literally every day, and I think it's important to. And I'm 60, what, three? It's really not as hard as people want to make it out to be. And you don't have to ride on Ed's level. You can get your big cruiser and get on the beach boardwalk. And I always say the happiest individuals I meet are the ones who got away from bicycle riding and are now getting back into it. And it's just
Hmm.
like they've rediscovered their youth. It's beautiful to
Hmm.
watch.
Hmm. You tell them to be careful with the cherry pickers, though. You land hard on those at our age.
They find that out on their own.
So I was going to say, kind of into that a little bit. So I'm always wondering why you guys think the movie hit so well. So for me, I was 13 at the time, it hit so many emotions. It was adventurous, it was, courage, kind of throw caution to the wind. And it was an underdog story, all of that. So to me, it rolled in. But I'm curious what you guys thought really made it.
Well, there's something that gets overlooked is these lone wolves who can emerge out of nowhere, literally nowhere, and realize they're world-class athletes. What people get a special kick out of in RAD, I think, is sticking it to the corporate guys at Mongoose. Is like, you don't dictate to me how I ride, who I ride with, who I ride for. I can still be me. I can still race at the top of my level, and all I need is two wheels. And you can go, where Duke best.
Right.
Duke best. So there's this line in the sand drawn between the kids in the park and the corporate entities that want to control them, and somehow Crew bested them at their own game. That felt really good for audiences.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? And it hit, like I said, it hit everything for me. But one thing you mentioned there was kind of like, courage, like, I don't care what you think. And so, Eddie, maybe you'll get a kick out of this. So after that movie, I demanded my parents, I really pressed them hard to get me a BMX bike. And you should have saw the look on my dad's face when I showed him the one I wanted. It was a hot pink Kuahara Bravo. And he got it for me. They got it for me a little reluctantly, and I took a lot of hits even from my friends. But you know what? I came out of that not caring. Like, I had an attitude of like that. I don't know if it was certainly the movie, but I just had a renewed confidence. So I'm curious if you guys have heard that story with folks, from, who've seen that.
Well, I think that, our BMX days, and the way we rode back then, we had style. We put style into it. We had our own colors. Back in the day, a GT Pro Performer was yellow, and from across the street, I could say that's a GT, that's a Kuahara, that's a Torker, that's a Hutch Trickstar. From all these different, from a distance, if you look at these bikes today, they all look the same. There's no difference in, but we just wanted our own individuality of our sport. And by having a pink bike, you could tell where your bike was compared to everybody else's bike. And at an instant, everybody goes, oh, there you are. There's Dave. Or they could find my bike and they wouldn't even see the rider. They would just know the bike.
Yeah, that bike brought me a lot of bumps and bruises trying to do what you did, but I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, there's many times I have people coming up to me going, hey, I've got a couple bills that you need to pay from all my hospital bills. And I'm going, it's not my fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you probably had your share. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You were talking, I think both of you guys were touching on a little bit about the youth. And to me, it kind of warms my heart where I live. I'm in Buffalo, New York. And we recently just had like a nice streak of weather. We had like 60, 70 degrees. And the first thing I see outside is kids playing football and street hockey and basketball. And for a while, to me, it felt like that had gone away. And so I'm curious, if you want, if you're, the kids coming up seeing RAD, do you think that could maybe spark some of that adventurous, let's get out there, or maybe even a spark to a new BMX kind of revolution, maybe?
I am betting my future on it.
Yeah.
So I've kind of taken myself out of the running as the guy with the 8x10 running around going, please like me. I have done a lot of that. I did very well doing that. But once I realize this is my legacy, I'm going to go, I'm leaning into this.
You're embracing
this is who I am right now. And people are showing up. We've got another BMX movie in pre-production. And RAD 40th anniversary is here and bigger than ever. This is the first time they've done it 2 nights in a week. And there's paid ads everywhere, right? Are we seeing more ads for RAD 2 or the RAD 40th than anything ever before? Even the original release didn't have this much publicity surrounding it. And now we've got 40 years legacy to draw from. So there's generations of audience members who know and love it, and now they're going to get to show it to their kids, et cetera.
I don't know if I know all about what you're doing, Bill. Maybe we can lean into that in a second, because it's really interesting to me what you're doing. And I know Eddie's got his documentary out, so it sounds like you guys are moving and shaking, which I love to hear.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I did want to ask you, because this one hit home for me, and this may be a little more directed to Bill. So the relationship with Crew's mom, I'm sure you've answered this one a number of times, but that one really meant a lot to me, because at the time where I was going through some things in my teenage life, protective mom, as a parent now, I'm starting to get that, but back then it didn't resonate that it was coming from love. But I guess that really the question I have for you is, why do you think RAD almost highlighted that part of this, like it was an important part to bring out? Like you'd almost think that could have been X'd out in some of the scripts, but to me, that really helped out, brought it home.
Yeah, I think a lot of times kids carry wisdom that we don't give them credit for. We assume they have to have decades of life experience before they really know what they're going to do or really know what their passion is. That's not true for you, Ed. It's not true for me. I knew acting was for me as a child. My best friend was Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Bruce Lee, and he had a quote where he's talking about he wanted to be an actor as a child, and everybody's like, "You'll get over it." And he said, "Well, maybe sometimes you should just listen to your kids."
Mm-hmm.
Right? What a revelation to actually
Yeah.
take their feedback. No, this is what I love, Mom. I'm not about math. I'm about riding bikes in the park. Nothing wrong with that. Ed,
Yeah.
am I wrong? I mean,
Oh no, I mean, like my mom, over and over and over kept saying, how are you going to make money riding this dumb bike? Seriously, she said this. And, and then I got in the magazines, and then I was making more money than the teachers were making. And then, making more money than my friends were making at normal jobs. I was, riding and not thinking it was a job, because riding a bike for me was just another day of having fun.
now,
Yeah.
was he paying into his pension fund? Was he getting a 401k? No, he was doing the thing that made him happy, and it made him world famous. And he's still able to command an audience because that young man decided, this is who I am.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Loved it. I loved it. Thank you for that. That actually really hit home for me. I like that. Thank you, Bill. Let me ask you this. We're kind of coming up on time, so I was trying to think of like a question that would put you on the spot just for fun.
I'll give you one.
So, yeah, you guys are good at this. So, I'm wondering, you really hit a perfect time that thing just took off. It was cult. It still lives. Here we are 40 years later. But if that movie were to come out today, now it sounds like, Bill, you might be doing something like that. But if that movie were to come out today, do you think it would have had the legs that it did back then?
I think if you show the state of the art, which is what Hal did, this is where the athletes are now. This is what they're doing. I think we all became entranced over pandemic looking at our cell phones, what these guys are doing now, these ridge runs and these canyon jumps. I nearly dropped my phone watching. My palms are so sweaty. So to portray how far the sport has come now, in the RAD day, Jose did one backflip. I think the record now is 4. Is that right? Jed Milton did 4 backflips.
Yeah, I think so.
4 backflips. Now, who's going to do 5? I don't know, but I want to be there and watch it happen.
I recently met Hobie Doan. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but I met him at an event I was at. He's a professional BMXer. You see him on social media a lot. And so it was fun kind of talking about how his generation, he's a lot younger than me, kind of picked it up. So big fan. But thank you for that. And then I guess, we're kind of running out of time. So maybe now would it be a good time to just, talk a little bit, lean into what you are doing with the BMX, what you're doing in 2026 and maybe Eddie's documentary?
Sure. Myself, I've teamed up with a very successful producer named Patrick Durham. He's got 40 years in the business and grew up a BMXer himself and decided we need another BMX movie. So the script is finished. We plan on shooting in Los Angeles over the summer. And again, it's going to show the state of the art as it is today and have some of the top writers in it. So I'm beyond happy because, like I said, I took myself out of the running a while back, and now it's all coming around. I'm like, oh, people are taking the journey with us, and this 40th anniversary just shows that there's still a vital audience. Last year, when it was in theaters, it had the highest per screen average, #1, and that's when Maverick was out. And so why more people in Hollywood haven't gone, hey, there's actual money in this thing. You know, I don't know. It's kind of been under the radar while being this cultural touchstone at the same time.
Well, it looks like you're going to have to prove it to them all over again, and I bet you will. I'm pumped.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, and you know, my documentary, there's going to be a portion shown after the movie RAD. And it's literally about my life and how I grew up and how I got in the magazines. I started doing commercials, did the movie RAD, and then eventually got into stunt work and have been doing stunt work ever since. It's just a glimpse into my my life that I did. So it should be really good. It will be released in on Amazon Prime in April. So
okay. Well, I'm pumped for that too. Honestly, I think you know, your audience deserves to hear a little bit about you, and so I'm really excited for that.
Thank you.
You know, thank you guys. This really meant a lot to me, honestly. So I can't thank you enough. This was great.